Your love and attention to Francis. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, everyone. It's lovely to see all your beautiful faces.
Yes, today's Father's Day, and how special is that? I thought I was going to be talking about other things, and I probably will. This might be a bit of a mixed bag of a bit of a talk, but the importance of Father's Day is very important as well. So I wanted to bring that into what I might be talking about. So there's no structure to this talk because it's coming from within me. So when I first did my first talk a number of years ago at the VSU in Ringwood, or East Ringwood, I was inspired by doing a talk because my father had come through the message through one of the mediums, and that same day the president of the church, who was Carol Crawford King, she said to me, "Francis," while I was in the audience, "would you be able to do the next talk for us?" Which gave me a week's notice, and I said, "Yeah, okay." Why I was inspired to do a talk was because my father was quite an inspirational speaker himself. Now, he wasn't of the spiritual faith so much. We were all raised as Catholics. However, he was a person who genuinely would be able to stand up in front of people and just share from his heart, but also from his knowledge. He was a Gemini, and Geminis are very good at retaining a lot of information, sometimes about things that aren't important, but he was my inspiration. And what got me pondering today is, where did Father's Day come from? So of course I referred to Google God, typed in what's the relevance of Father's Day, and interestingly enough, it was inspired by chaos. It was inspired by a major accident that happened back in the US in 1908, where 361 men who were killed in the Fairmont coal mine explosion, which happened in the previous December. So it started in 1908 as a memorial to honour those men and to honour them as the fathers that they were, but also 1,000 children that then became fatherless. So it was established already, I think, that Mother's Day was already happening. It's something that was celebrated during church services, but then Father's Day didn't seem to take off as relevant as Mother's Day back in that day. So there was a lady called Sonara Smart Dodd who began campaigning to have Father's Day as a day of celebration of fathers, because she was brought up, her mother had passed, and her father had to raise 5 children. And it was just in the kitchen one day where she was looking at her baby child in the pram, and she thought, we should honour fathers. I want to honour my father. So she really proposed that this be a day that we celebrate. So of course, as Australians, we kind of mimic or copy what goes on in the US and other countries. So we started to do that as well around 1910. But it really wasn't something that became really traditional or important until government recognised it in 1958. And even still in the 1960s, fathers were a bit reluctant to have that day celebrated. For whatever reason, they didn't believe it was relevant or as important. And yet, of course, we need to have a father and a mother in order for us to be here. So I want to go back to 2008. 2008, I've been following astrology for a number of years now, and astrology can give us some insight into who we are, why we're here, and what occurrences can happen throughout our life in order for us to step into our authentic selves. And 2008, Pluto, the small planet, it's one of the smallest planets in the cosmos, moved into Capricorn. Now, anybody kind of familiar with astrology and understand about the stars and how I believe we come from the cosmos, so we are naturally going to be impacted by whatever happens with those planets in the sky. So in 2008, January, Pluto moved into Capricorn. In terms of me and my chart, it meant the start of loss. And in that year, I lost both my parents. My mother in the January, and my father in the November. Both the role models in my life, the people that raised me and my 6 other siblings, the parents that gave me, I suppose, the genetic makeup that made me who I am. And yet I came with my own patterns, my own qualities, my own gifts and talents. And when I ponder now back to 2008, it was the beginning of the end of a cycle. And it wasn't just for me, it was for everybody, because Pluto impacts everyone. So if you think back to 2008 in your life, reflect back to what was happening for you, because you've now transitioned through a 16-year period of change. And for me, it was about my identity and who I thought I was and who I was now going to become. In 2008, I was already separated from my husband of 19 years, had 3 children, and I was going to be divorcing that year, which I did, and also had to sell property in order to move to a new location, which I did. I was raised in the Yarra Valley in Monbulk for 46 years of my life, and then I was looking for somewhere else to move. So I moved to Lilydale. I found I thought was my forever home in Lilydale, which is a beautiful place. I knew that I wanted a view and that I had to see something. At that time I didn't know what the view would be of, but I was so fortunate to find my beautiful home in Lakeview Drive, Lilydale, which had a view of the lake, the Lilydale Lake. Now here in 2024, we're now at the end of that 16-year cycle where Pluto was in Capricorn but is now moving into Aquarius. So that means it's moving into another part of my chart. So all the lessons that I've learned in that 16 years about becoming my true self, becoming more responsible for myself, and there's a lot of the lessons I learned through my father. My father was quite a strong, domineering, quite a man who was very focused on business, and I suppose I've inherited a lot of the traits from him about wanting to be in business for myself too. So I admire and appreciate the journey he had as an immigrant from Holland and setting up a business here in Australia back in the 50s and creating the family empire that he left behind for each of his children to kind of keep going. But during that last 16 years, that business is no longer there. My parents went, and not long after, a few years later, the family business folded and we all went our own ways. But then I had the opportunity to start the business that I wanted to do and had been already working towards, which was about healing and supporting family first, but then others in finding the true meaning of what was causing any pain, emotional, physical pain within them, but also wanting to help people find out who they really were. But that's been my journey, because I've been doing the same thing all that time, looking to sources of inspiration to remind me what I really was here to do and be. So as I was saying, it's now 2024. That 16-year period of Pluto being in Aquarius is now over. However, Pluto has been in Aquarius for about a number of months now. It's now moving back into Capricorn. We call that a retrograde. And retrogrades are about going back and revisiting and revising and analysing and seeing, have you learnt your lessons? Have you finished doing what you were meant to do or learn from in that period where Pluto was in that Capricorn sign? So now each and every one of us is going to be doing that as of today, 1st of September, start of spring, for the next, I think, 10, 11 weeks until around the 16th or 17th of November. We're also all going back and revisiting what have we completed, what have we learned from in the last 16-year period. So for me, I'm revisiting, have I grown up? Have I been responsible? Am I doing really what I want to do? Am I now being true to myself? And am I going to stop the people-pleasing part of me that I was born with, but also ready now to actualise who I really am becoming? Now, there's periods in our lives that we live through, and that's true for astrology, that's true for a lot of philosophies about how to understand our nature. And one of them is numerology. Is everybody familiar with numerology or heard about it? That's one of the first, I suppose, philosophies or techniques that I studied when I started working with clients. I'd get their birth date, have a look at them, and I'd say, okay, you're a 5, you'll hear about freedom and change, etc. I was watching a video by a wise lady on YouTube who's been doing numerology for a number of years, and she just popped up into my list the other day, and she was saying that we're meant to live till we're 120. So whoever thought that we're meant to live to 60, 70, 80, they've got it wrong, because we are designed to actually live a lot longer. And that we say that there's a midlife crisis around 40 because we think we're going to go in our 80s. Your midlife crisis is more around your 60s. So, and she was saying in terms of we live in cycles of 30 years. So we really are children or young beings until we're 30. We're not meant to have it all together, because we're meant to investigate, look for what we're wanting to do, and then eventually move into that. And then the 30s to the 60s is a time of work, analysing what is it you want to do, what is it that you want to build. Most people decide to get married, build houses, do work that's meaningful, hopefully, and not just decide to do work for the sake of surviving, which a lot of people are having to do at the moment. And then in our 60s to our 90s, we're starting a whole new era. So I'm going to be 63, and she mentioned that between 60 and 63, you're meant to be planning for your next 30-year period, which is not about slowing down, it's not about retiring, it's not about taking life so much easier, but actually what is this new part of yourself that you're wanting to shine out into the world. And then when you get to 90, that's another new era as well. Maybe you will choose to slow down. But if we have that thought that we can let go of the traditional old beliefs that, there's certain cycles you're meant to go through, and then by the time you're 80, well, you can put your card into the time clock and say, okay, I'm clocking off now. But my parents both were in their 80s when they passed. But I'm hearing of a lot of people that are also still surviving into their 90s and later, and actually we're meant to. So I want to encourage you all to revisit those thoughts that you had that you're going to retire in your 60s. I kind of was a bit reluctant to get the seniors card when I turned 60. I thought, oh, that means I'm old. But I'm embracing actually the wisdom and actually the discounts you get with it, just to talk quietly. So I just want to honour my dad while I'm here. When he passed, he was a person who, as I said, he fought hard and long. He didn't want to pass. Both my parents passed from lung cancer. He had given up smoking about 20 to 30 years prior to his passing. My mum smoked up to practically the last day if she could have. She was ready to go. I was with her when she passed, and she would wake up from long sleeps and say to me, am I still here? Why am I still here? I said, Mum, it's not too long now. It won't be too long. Because as far as she was concerned, she was ready to go. She'd done what she felt she had to do. She raised us 7 children to adults, and she'd also looked after my 3 children while I was working, because it was a family business. You had to work hard. But also, so her passing was about her choice. She wanted to go, and it was just a case of waiting. Whereas my dad didn't. He didn't want to pass. He wanted to hang on to the last minute. He wanted to die with his boots on. And I know I've got a little bit of that in me too, because I don't want to retire. I want to keep working. I'm changing my identity. I'm changing my business. I'm rebranding. So I suppose I've got a bit of my dad in me, that stamina, that determination, and that desire to continue contributing in a big way to the world and to humanity. And this era of Aquarius and the age of Aquarius that we're now moving into is about community, about supporting each other, and it will be a time of rebellion. It will be a time of wanting to band together to create the change that's direly needed in order for structures that we have lived under and belief systems and patterns that we've also lived under for so many hundreds of years, centuries probably, time to dismantle. And in order for something really brand new and encompassing of all humanity, and I feel the word kindness will become our key word. Self-love is also very important, and also the desire to be doing meaningful work, to be in service to each other in whatever way or capacity that we have. And I've been supporting my clients for many years now in helping to identify what their patterns are, what their gifts and talents are, what their true purpose is. But I've had to do the work for myself first in order to be able to support others. So I want to honour my dad and bless him, because I know he's around, for being that role model to me that reminds me that as much as I'm a mother of 3 and then a grandmother of 4, that's part of my role, to be that mother archetype. I've also got a bit of that strong father archetype in me that is here to support others and to bring people up into their true potential. And that's what the father is meant to be here for. In very ancient Chinese wisdom, it is said that the mother and the father have 2 distinct roles. And the mother is here to nurture, love, raise the child, and to be able to move into society and connect very well within society. But the father's role is actually to bless the child and remind the child how amazing they are and what a wonderful thing it is that they've come into the world. So I believe my dad is proud of me. I'm sure that he would be from the other side, because it takes a bit of guts to get up and do talks and to speak in front of people. But that was something he taught me, that if you do it from the heart, it's not hard at all. And I want to send blessings to everyone whose father may not have shown any approval or appreciation or respect or recognition of you. And if that's been the case, to remind yourself that you have his DNA within you, you have the genes within you, but you've also got your heart within yourself that can remind you how beautifully precious and amazingly brave and courageous you've been to come to planet Earth during this lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Frances, very, very much. And there was a lot of very valuable information in your story and how it can relate to each and every one of us. So thank you so much for sharing that. And the minute you said 2008, the penny dropped for me and I went, oh yeah, that's when my whole world changed. Can anyone else relate to 2008? Absolutely. And you can look back now and understand why. So thank you. That was awesome. Please give her another round of applause.
I'm going to encourage you, who's been to a sound bath or who's been to a sound healing and kind of be familiar with bowls, etc. Okay, so there is a frequency that emits from sound instruments. It's just a powerful way of helping you to reconnect with yourselves through the art of listening and absorbing also, because you're not just absorbing through your ears, but you're absorbing through your skin, through your aura, through all parts of you. So it's just a beautiful thing. And if you think about sound healing, it probably originated in the womb. That's where we heard our mother's heartbeat. And that gentle rhythm of our mother's heartbeat reminded us of how safe we were within the womb. So I'm not doing a drum today, which would actually mimic that actual rhythm. But just be aware that it's a powerful way and a gentle way of you reconnecting to a deeper sense of yourself, your spiritual self. So I invite you all now to gently close your eyes. Relax your body. Relax your mind. relax your beautiful spirit that lies within you. And taking in 3 deep breaths now. Breathing into your belly, breathe in, and breathing out on a sigh. Open your mouths and let that sigh out. Breathing into your belly, and breathing out on a sigh. Beautiful. And again, deep breath in, and breathing out on a sigh. And as you bring your awareness and focus inwards now, bring your awareness to that part of you that recognizes your soul. That part of you that knows that the journey that is unfolding in this lifetime is meant to happen, with all the highs and lows, all the challenges, yet all the growth. Bring your awareness to that part now. being aware that our fathers are here to remind us of how special we all truly are. Know that it's our expression of our soul self, that they're here to remind us, to bring into the world. So what haven't you brought out into the world? What untapped potential have you yet to birth?
this new era of change and evolution. What potential, what gift are you here to give to humanity and to your fellow man? To your family, to your mother, to your father, to your siblings, to your friends, to all who know you, you are a gift. So now, with that beautiful heart full of joy, full of love, full of self-acceptance, I invite you to gently bring your awareness back now, back to this room, back to your space. When you're ready,
Gently open your eyes.